Hey everybody, Jason here. Before we get started, I have one favor to ask. If you like this video, Top 200 Solo Games Commentary, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I am trying to spread the word about this channel, playthroughs, interviews, all sorts of chum for the solo gamer. So I would really appreciate if you could just go ahead. There it is. Hit that subscribe button. All right, on to the show. Yo, my peoples, what's up? Welcome back to Shelf Stories and the One Stop Coop Shop and Beyond Solitaire and the One Player Guild. For the last time, this is episode 3 of our coverage of Top 200 Solo Games People's Choice. It is 50-1. It is the special occasion, A, because we are revealing the number 1 solo game of all time as voted by you, the solo player. Number 2, it is Kevin's birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, we're not going to finish? How can you start
Happy
and finish?
birthday,
Dear
Kevin.
Kevin.
Happy birthday to you.
I'm not going to sing. That's your birthday present.
There you go. Kevin Erskine from the One Player Guild, the curator of the Top 200 list. Welcome back to the show, Kev.
Oh, thank you guys. Love being here.
Awesome, man. We got Michael Kelly from the One Stop Coop Shop.
Hey, how's it going?
And Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire.
I'm back. It's always good.
Yeah, we got some technical difficulties with people have been popping in and out, but we're trying our best, overcoming our Wi-Fi difficulties to bring you the top 50 solo games of all time. So jumping right in terms of like kind of meta look at the list. Now we can reveal all of the, we've tried to be very careful about spoilers, but now we can reveal it all because you know all of the games. And what I will say, a couple of things, have a couple of observations. So first of all, a category that I like to call to be old. This is a category suggested by a BG user, Sarah Bear, who I've worked with in the past, tracking how many games have lasted all 7 years. And last year it was 31 games. This year it's 30. So one game that was there 6 years fell off the list. Makes me sad. Pandemic the Cure. Did not make the top one.
Whatever.
Yeah,
There's too many pandemics.
No one
on this
except
list.
Jason is crying about that.
That's not even pandemic. I mean,
The only game, the 30 games I've made, and and they were distributed throughout the list, like games like Space Empires 4X and a couple other games we discussed have been, here all the time. And that tells you a lot about, like, you get a lot of churn towards the bottom of the list. Towards the top of the list, it's very stable. So we're not going to say too many new things, but there's some positional things that we can observe as well. So 172 games got first place votes, up from 147 games that got first place votes last year. So that's a huge number, Kevin, right? That I imagine that's like blows away any previous total of how many games got first place votes.
right. Yeah, no, it's amazing to me the number of games that overall, and I always say that there's a game for everybody, and that's kind of what this shows, is that there's so many games that just appeal to somebody.
And there was one game that made me think of Liz. One first place vote, Wars of Marcus Aurelius.
Nice.
Such a good game. It's such a good game. It is deeply underappreciated. And
I would say
is also very good.
I would say it's underappreciated for me. I would not say it's deeply underappreciated. It was pretty good.
Wait, and Jason, for those sports ones, you think about it, there really aren't any good sports games. I know you'll say
You mean like baseball
highlights.
highlights?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I mean real sports games.
Yeah, right.
Get out.
Rallyman GT, that's a rally racing. That's a sport, right?
I don't consider NASCAR a sport, so
It's not NASCAR. It's rally.
Yeah, I know, but car racing to me is a waste of gas.
All right.
So that made me think, before we get on to 50-1, did you all vote for the top 20? Did you guys put your votes in or no?
I did not.
I did.
Sorry.
I've been out of the loop this year.
But just reflecting on your personal list of your favorite solo games, what were some games that you personally love, but that didn't make anything in the top 200 or anything like that?
Didn't make anything?
Yeah, I think almost all of them were on here.
So like Wars of Marcus Aurelius be an example. Like I know that's like a really, really high one for you, but didn't make the top 200 this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just known. I think among people who like war games, people who have heard of Wars of Marcus Aurelius, but if you're not looking at small publishers like Hollandspiel, like you're not gonna know that even exists.
Right. For me, The Pursuit of Happiness, I'm really disappointed that it doesn't crack the code. I love that. I adore that theme of the game. Talk about a theme that's kind of baked in and tells a good story. Not very surprised that one didn't make the list. Also, Cerebria, that one I know it's very unique. Not going to make a lot of penetration, but Mike, you were impressed by the Cerebria.
I think
right?
Cerebria is a great solo. It wouldn't be in my top 20,
Oh, it was
but
like
if I go
number
back
3
a
for
little
me.
bit
I love
more,
that
I think it would. I do think of one. Space Alert's usually in my top 20. I don't think that was anywhere in the top 200, right? Because it's too old.
Right. I love that. It was in my top 20.
Yeah, Space Alert is fantastic, but I love real-time games, especially like thinky real-time games, not like frantic real-time games. And Space Alert is one of the best of those, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Anything, Kevin, that didn't make the top 200 for you?
Yeah, there were 3 that, I mean, I mentioned Madara, which I really like. Myth is still my favorite dungeon crawl. Love Myth.
I have not played it yet, Kevin. I've been too afraid of the rules.
Well, I hope Ulysses really comes out and straightens up the rules and does stuff with it. But the whole card play system with that is so good. And the other one I really like when we were talking about Gears of War was Fireteam Zero. I like that game a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised that didn't make it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So we are going to get to numbers 50 to 26. So we're getting to, pretty close to the creme de la creme over here. 2 totally new 2020 games. These are the highest debuts on the list. Now that you guys have seen the full list. Tainted Grail, which came out at the very end of last year.
Oh, man.
And
I still don't have my copy.
I don't either.
I had my copy, and now I don't anymore.
We were all too cheap to get the first shipping. We all got the combined shipping, so we're going to get a giant pile of Tainted Grail, even though Michael Kelly from One Stop Coop Shop says it's a terrible game.
No. Tainted Grail, so this is infamous in One Stop Coop Shop history. It was my number 1 game last year. And then I played it some more when it came up for shelf life. Every 5 or 6 months later, I look back at games I reviewed, and I called it like it was hot as quickly as I could. Tainted Grail is a fantastically ambitious game in a lot of ways. I think can be wonderful if things go well, if you don't fall into the numerous traps of boredom and drudgery and grinding that you can fall into. Or if you use the many house rules that are available on BGG and elsewhere to fix those grinding problems. But if you play it rules as written and go the wrong way a few times, you can spend literally hours accomplishing nothing. And it is very, very frustrating. So that's my warning. I would recommend, I know a lot of people don't like doing this, but I would personally recommend hit me up on Discord or BGG or wherever. I'll tell you my personal favorite house rules. I would just play with those from the start. Otherwise, it could be a very negative experience for you based on where you go. Just my 2 cents on Tainted Grail.
I think rules as written is for suckers. As soon as I sniff a bad time, a grindy time, I'm like, nope. I'm a solo player. Nobody is watching me. Nobody's the boss of my fun. So it's like, as soon as 20 minutes of wait, no, we're rewinding that and doing something else.
Now you do what you want. Be free.
Exactly.
That was Tainted Grail. All of us are waiting for our copy. I've played it. I liked it, but I haven't played it enough to say it stinks.
Yeah, I haven't.
People who say it stinks played it a lot.
Yeah. I would say it was not until probably, what was it? My 3rd campaign.
Right.
Like one almost finished, one not very far at all. And then my 3rd one, restarting. I was like, what the hell is going on? So I played it a bunch to find that.
The highest pure debut released in 2020 occurred at number 42. This should tell you that there was just not a lot coming out this year because this is basically a reiteration. Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion.
Wait, I call foul by Kevin's own rules. Kevin, this should not be its own entry because this is fully integratable. You can use the characters from one with the other. It's just basically a standalone expansion with a new campaign.
You know what? This falls under my rules.
Kevin just wants to have more dungeon crawlers in the top 50.
I gotta tell you though, I really like Jaws of the Lion mainly because it's just so much easier to deal with.
Oh yeah, no, it's way better, but I don't think it's a new game.
If I was only gonna have one, I would just probably have Jaws of the Lion and
Me
Bureau.
too. Me too.
To be honest, the reason I kept it separate is I actually think Jaws of the Lion is a different audience than
Yes,
Gloomhaven.
that's fair.
And so
Fair.
that's why I said it's a different game for that reason. That's why I kept them separate.
That's a good call.
Any game with a plus $60 price difference.
Yeah,
is going to
that's
be-
true.
So I mean, you guys, I mean, it's Gloomhaven, but like without the stuff that's like, you know, the 100 campaigns and the, you know, the obligation and the people bothering you and everything. But it gives you that core Gloomhaven experience. I think it's just a home run. There was no way that game was going to do bad.
I mean, what I love most about it, besides that it has like kind of the tutorial system and the introductory scenarios to get you going if you don't know the game yet, so I can like play with my son, for example. It also goes with Street Masters, which is just a few spots below it.
Yep.
I love like every game, give me like a single board I play on, or give me a booklet like Stuffed Fables, Comanauts, Aftermath, Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. Give me a book, a spiral book I open up and the map's right there.
Right.
I never have to like set up 15 tiles again and interlock them with puzzle pieces that don't quite fit. Looking at you, Fantasy Flight, with freaking Imperial Assault and Descent as these things are getting ripped and bent as I try to push them together. If I never play another game like that, I will be a happy man. Like, Jesus. And you know, even Ultra Quest, like, hey, Ultra Quest, give me a giant Hero Quest board. I just put crap on it. I never have to set a tile up again. I love it. Like every game that is a dungeon crawler, I want this, basically.
But besides that, as a tactical game, is it any different thing? If I have Gloomhaven and I ordered Frosthaven, why would I need this?
You wouldn't, unless you just want another campaign or an easier way to teach people. In fact,
Yeah, it's for the easier way to teach people.
Yeah,
I don't like people.
Some people
We're
say
solo players.
some people say the character classes are a little bit simpler. I don't really find that, but you know, like, yeah, no, you don't really need it. It's just another fun campaign that you can play through quicker than the core campaign.
If you're going to start somewhere, I think it might be a better place to start. But if you already started,
right?
There's no reason to go down to Jaws of the Lion unless you are getting your girlfriend/boyfriend who barely plays into. You know,
Right.
Now it is if you just want more Gloomhaven, Kevin, and Frosthaven is too far away, it is way better than what was it, Forbidden Circles or Forgotten Circles?
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah,
definitely skip that one and get Jaws of a Lion because that one has some.
I didn't get that either. So
Yeah, that is some major problems. Although again, not as much solo. It's more a problem for co-op if you have somebody controlling the boring character. But we won't get into that.
I mentioned in the last episode how the paradigmatic solo game is thematic and also kind of mid-weight. However, we do have a clustering of themeless puzzly Euros going on over here. We have Paladins of the Western Kingdom, which is kind of a stepped up version of just a really classic heavy Euro in the modern style. Is like, you know, elegant and beautiful. It's like a bunch of crap going on, but people get into it and like it. Teotihuacan, which I love Teotihuacan. That's a great little I love the theme and the cocoa and the people running around, the dice allocation and stuff like that. Excellent little Teoti bot. David Tercy on the solo design on that one. Fields of Arl, Snowdonia, which is one of those games that is always on the list, but I've never played and never intend to play.
You know, I had fun when I need to play more of that. I've had fun so far. Yeah.
Okay.
It's enjoyable. It's less complicated than you'd think it is from how big the box is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
And what is basically a debut, Maracaibo. I'm only mentioning, these are just words to me, except for Teotihuacan.
I was going to ask you, I assume it's a Euro.
That's
for a city.
That's another one. I forget what the other one was. I mentioned like in the 200s, but somebody like messaged us on One Stop Coop Shop. They're like, "Hey, cover Maracaibo," and I looked at it. I'm like, "Okay, no, probably not. Probably never." Sorry, whoever that was. You're cool. I love you.
Just want to mention those in honor of Anthony Chatfield, who used to be on the show with me. He would cover all the Euros. I got you back, buddy. I just wanted to let you know we're talking about your games. Let's go on to some games that we all know. KDM. So we mentioned Kingdom Death Monster, sinking fast. I mean, it was one of those games where like 7 people voted for it. They all voted for it number 1. So it kind of was very highly represented because if you're going to vote for it, you were going to vote for it number 1. Now we're starting to get to the point where there's just fewer voters. It's getting replaced. There's other properties on here. So it's fallen pretty, like it's not like cratered or anything like that, but it's definitely falling in grace.
I mean, and I am so happy because I'd never played KDM for forever just because of the price. And eventually I was like, I want to play this game. I spent months on eBay Like just every couple of days, I would just go and look. And I finally found one that was like affordably priced. And it was still a nightmare because it got like damage in shipping and all this crap happened. But I got KDM and I played it. And it's really cool. The boss mechanics are great. And like the uniqueness and the civilization and the feeling of this horrific world you're trying to survive, like all of that is great. But having played Oathsworn, when I covered that for the Kickstarter, having played Aeon Trespass, which I'll say is basically just stealing KDM mechanics, but doing it at a lower price point. Having played Townsfolk Tussle, that would have gone on Kickstarter. It's going on tomorrow as of this recording, but like 2 or 3 weeks ago from the time you're hearing this. And then one that's coming that I've been looking at the mechanics for, Primal. Like all these boss battlers that take out the extreme randomness that can be frustrating in KDM and don't make it a giant campaign, which, to be fair, the giant campaign is one of the big selling points of KDM. But some of these that I can play like all the cool boss mechanics in like an hour, I love that stuff. And none of them cost $400. None of them have penis monsters. And none of them require me to like build all these crazy miniatures. And that's just, if you love that, that's your thing. Go ahead and do it. But I have no interest at all. Like the fact that it has all these miniatures is an active deterrent to me playing this game. Like I hate those things. I have.
Yeah, it's like a game that gives you homework.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like I know that's part of the fun for some people, and that justifies the price. But if they had like had $100 or even $200 version of KDM with all the content and not all the dumb miniatures, I would have been all in for that years ago. And no, like it's I don't know. So I'm glad it's being replaced. I think it's very cool. I think it's very unique. I think it is unwieldy and it's niche. And I'd rather have a wider audience for the cool, like kind of gameplay mechanics that Poots innovated in his time.
Lots of other adventure games in this slot. Usually this is kind of like where the bigger, chunkier adventure games land. And it's been true throughout the list, for the last 6 years. But always, again, we love our adventure. We love our theme as solo players. You got This War of Mine. We mentioned Street Masters.
I love Street
Killforth. I mean, there's like any kind of flavor. If you want overland adventure, you want dungeon crawling, you want just leveling up, you want to get your butt. You want to be like just look at this list and you're going to find something. And I'm not exactly sure where Lord of the Rings Journeys landed. I don't know if it's this place or somewhere else.
48.
But it's on there somewhere.
It's 48.
Oh,
yeah.
There you go. So another one. Are you still playing Lord of the Rings Journeys, or did that fall off predictably? That's what I thought.
Yeah. I mean,
No, I'm playing it.
You hadn't this time last year. You hadn't gotten it,
Right.
so you finally broke down and got it. And you liked it.
Someone gave it to me.
there you go. They heard the podcast and took pity.
There you go.
I also want to point out there's a couple of like good kind of classics in this section as well. I love Race for the Galaxy. It's still good. It's still really good. Legendary. I think that the Alien Legendary Encounters version of the game is superior personally, but it's neat to see them both there together.
How about Space Hulk Death Angel
hanging on?
Yeah.
And I love Sentinels in the Multiverse. I always will. I know that it demands a lot of a solo player. I don't care.
But it's awesome. And One Deck
so
Dungeon, I'm a big fan of that too. Like for a faster, simpler. You don't like that, Liz?
Yeah.
You don't like randomness, Liz. I think you don't like dice.
I already ditched my One Deck Dungeon copy. Like I don't play that anymore.
All right.
One Deck Dungeon was the highest game that did not get a number 1 vote. Just
I noticed. I saw that.
trivia.
Yeah, my
doesn't mean
problem
much.
with
That's because it's number 2. I'm
with
joking.
Race-
It's a perfectly good game.
I should probably give Race for the Galaxy another chance. I played that like every day at lunch with a buddy for months. So I probably, 100 2-player games of it. So the thought of rolling a die and playing it against a bot and like, why?
Yeah, I hear that.
And so that's why I have no desire. Legendary Marvel, I love seeing that drop. That needs to go. I will fight against that game forever. I just think that, Mike, you and I were talking about our baseball highlights, and I said we could play. If you and I had the same hand of Marvel Legendary, I would bet anything we will do the exact same thing every turn.
This time I won't fight you at all. Marvel Legendary is almost brain dead.
Yes. Yeah. And to me, I guess the IP is just so popular that it doesn't matter if there's a game there or not.
I mean, I think there's a place for very quick to play, simple, straightforward deck builders. I would say Star Realms fits into that mold as well. Ascension, Hero Realms, like there's not that much thought because you can't really strategize that much with the cards you buy. You have this limited offer that's randomized every time you play. But I don't know. Deck building is fun in and of itself. So I think a lot of people just kind of enjoy that.
Well, right. It's a fun activity. I think because for me, solo gaming is more playing a game that I can think and challenge. I like a puzzle, and there's no puzzle in that. Zero.
Yeah.
So that's why I think I got it. I got it, traded it, got it again, thought maybe I was wrong, and got rid of it immediately. It just, even two-player wasn't great. Now, and I agree, Aliens was better, but not.
I did the exact same thing with, I think, a couple in the top 25. I'll get to that.
I have a question. Is Cartographers the highest ranked role in Right
Correct.
on here? I just
Looks
did a
like
quick
it.
check. Looks like
That's probably my favorite besides pinball. I'm happy to see it up there. I like Welcome too, but I like Cartographers a little bit more just for how quick it is and simple.
How long does the game into that take?
Not long.
20 minutes.
5 minutes, 10.
What? Oh, it took 20 minutes to do the playthrough, and I was doing all sorts of stuff. So I think,
and
we
like
were
talking
close to
through
time.
what you were doing and narrating. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
And
what's the
Renegade
highest
is
level
still
ranking?
hanging in,
Which one?
which makes me happy.
Well, hopefully they get a
I don't like
reprint of that.
Renegade.
Renegade.
Oh, I like Renegade.
I like Renegade.
See,
I should take the
Renegade
cat
is
over
for me. I love the mechanics. I think Ricky Roll did an amazing job on the mechanics. Renegade is a lot like we passed by and didn't talk about it. Dungeon Alliance. Dungeon Alliance without the adventure packs.
I also really like Dungeon Alliance.
No. So hold on. Let me say what I'm saying. I think they both have wonderful mechanics. They're both kind of like Mage Knight Light in their own way, which is awesome. But I think both of them just thunk like a poop turd on the ground in the end game. Like Dungeon Alliance, unless you buy those adventure packs, it actually gives you something to do. It's just like you're like, well, I'm done. It's over. And Renegade, the same thing.
We're
It's
getting
like
punchy. we may have got a little bit ambitious with the recording.
We're saving the best for last. Oh man.
But yeah, like
Speaking of poop turd, Onirim.
There you go.
The best Oniverse game, bar none. I don't care what anybody says, but it is still rated highly. It used to be jostled with Friday for in its teens, but it's been knocked off by another shorter game, which we're going to talk about in just a second. But I did want to mention, because you mentioned poop turd, and I saw Kevin's face over there. It's like I just had to throw some Onirim chum.
And it actually went up, which, why? All I could think of is
I mean, again, I think that's probably the app. The app is very good and has been very popular the last year and a half.
The app is too old, though. That's not responsible for the bump.
But again, that's why I wanted to get rid of letting people vote for apps, because if you have to buy the game and do all that shuffling, there's no way you're playing it.
That's exactly why I would not rate this
why
one
would you play that? It's so annoying.
Lies. Tell him, Liz.
I find it meditative, but I also am an anxious person, so I like to do something with my hands. So, for me, the shuffling is really it's a nice practice for me.
You can see all
Wait, don't leave off number
do that.
For your podcast listeners, Kevin just showed us his bar. And if we're gonna manipulate something with your hands, mix a drink. Don't
shake a cocktail in a shaker. Well, before we leave the 26 through 50, Dawn of the Zed's 3rd edition.
Yes.
I love that game.
Yeah.
I love
excellent,
that game.
Excellent.
That is
I'm
one of my
happy to
top
see that
ones
one
for this
hanging
year.
in.
That's another kind of paradigm solo game, a little bit more on the thematic side. Exciting, dice rolly, victory point game design. So you get that kind of solo, they did I think they were the first company, or one of the first companies that just do solo really well.
Yeah.
And so you see the DNA of that. The 3rd edition was, got the new printing. It looks great. So if you can get a copy, Daughter of the Zeds is definitely highly recommended.
Oh my gosh, yes.
On that one.
I'm sure Dean Nemo's War is going to be above it, but I much prefer Dawn of the Zeds over Nemo's
Oh
War.
yeah,
personally.
definitely. I don't understand the love for Nemo's War.
I mean,
Dawn of the Zeds, I like Dawn of the Zeds a lot.
Yeah, Dawn of the Zeds is fantastic.
Although I still have just the 2nd edition, I see no reason to get the 3rd.
No, it's not that much of a change. Yeah, keep what you got.
It's just the upgraded stuff. So if you don't mind the soot and all that kind of thing, hands sitting on like fire.
Oh, the soot. Laser printing.
Let it go, Jason. Let it go.
All right, so let us move over to the creme de la creme, 25-1. We're not going to
Woo!
bury the
Here we
lead
are.
for the second year in a row, and I have a feeling this is going to instantiate itself and replicate itself for a long time. We're going to get a good run out of Spirit Island,
Yep.
#1 solo game. Let me count the ways, Kevin. I know you have a lot to say about the stat layout, but let me count the ways. So we're talking about out of 554 ballots. What did I write there? Okay, so 554 ballots, 251 mentioned Spirit Island. So that's a lot. It's like over half. 219 mentioned Mage Knight. 53 first place votes for Spirit Island. I know this is what Kevin's going to say. 74 first place votes for Mage Knight, which is a huge number. But because so many more people have rated Spirit Island, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
It just floated to the top. I'm talking about like that. So Kevin has this kind of cumulative score thing. Spirit Island just blows away. Like, I mean,
yeah, those two are way above everything else.
Way like those, like you are talking like, because we used to kind of guess, right? Oh, is this the year Robinson Crusoe is going to get it? Is this the year Gloomhaven is going to get it? Not even. And Kev used to like say that with glee. Not even close.
I gotta tell you though, you know what? Mage Knight forever. You're never gonna change my mind. Like unless a new game comes out that is better than Mage Knight. If that happens though, I will actually probably weep with joy, because I really love Mage Knight, and if I could find something I loved even more, that'd be exciting. Spirit Island's great. I think it's like my number 6. It's good. It's just not as good as Mage Knight.
Well, you know what? I'll refer to exactly what Michael said. The end of Spirit Island is awful. You're just going along, and all of a sudden, oh, I won.
Yeah, it's true.
Because you flip over to the next fear level, and it's like, oh, I just won the game, and that's it.
Yeah,
I literally
you can put on the Skyrim soundtrack and just like, oh yes, get the city.
Kevin, I was gonna say I've literally played extra turns of Spirit Island and been like, oh, whoops, I won 3 turns ago.
Yeah,
which is not a great side of an end game.
Right. Whereas, I'm like Liz. I think Spirit Island's 5 or 6 or 7 for me. I no, it is a good game. It's easier to teach. It's cheaper.
Yeah.
So it's got all that going for it. I think the play is simpler. The play is definitely simpler, but you just don't get that feeling that you are getting stronger and stronger and taking over. When you look at those cities at the end of Mage Knight, when you're starting the game, you're like, no way. And even new players, they're like, they get hammered by those cities. First game I played of Spirit Island, I won. And I don't know that if you play the base game, the base level, I don't know that I've ever lost Spirit Island. Ever.
Well, I don't know anyone who's like a serious solo person of Spirit Island that plays the base level. They have such a vast array of like difficulty settings. It's kind of like playing like the Mage Knight introductory exploration scenario.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're not going to lose that.
Right. But
if you're like a somewhat, reasonable solo player who knows the rules correctly, you're going to win.
But it is the feeling of growth that does it for me with Mage Knight.
Yeah.
And also, like, the card powers are just so interesting. And figuring out how to get the right combos of spells and figuring out whether you want to really go for, a really good artifact or, who do you want to hire to help you out. It's just, I just love it so much. I find it so exciting every time, and it never gets old. I don't burn out on Mage Knight the way that I do on other games.
Right.
Yeah, see, so I'll be the voice on the opposite side. Mage Knight, I think it's a beautiful design. I do like Frontiers a little bit more, but neither of them is in my top 20. I think it's gorgeous play, but it's not the kind of game I want to pull out a lot. And Spirit Island is battling. It's always in my number 2 or number 3. It's kind of like battling it out with Root right now. And for me, the big difference is I am such a sucker for variety. And I do feel like there's a nice amount of variety playing the different, like playing Goldix as opposed to who's the red lady who can hurt herself. Yeah, like Arithia. Like I really enjoy her play.
Is
like,
it Arithia? Is that how do people name it?
Whatever. Yeah.
Norawas, man. I want my minions.
Oh, Norawas, yeah, with his leadership. So they definitely have their feel, but I'm such a sucker. Like same thing in Root. Like that's why Root and Spirit Island battle for number 2 and number 3 for me. I'm such a sucker for like a completely different feel to how I play, and Mage Knight doesn't quite hit that for me. So I like Spirit Island more, but I totally agree, Kevin. It is terrible end game until when I push it up to like the highest I think I've won is Invader level like 7 or 8. And then it's good because then I'm like barely surviving. Like I'm going to the last dang turn. The cards are about to run out. I barely win. Anything below that, I'm usually either getting killed by like just some bad luck and me playing stupidly, or I'm just winning in like a second and it's stupid. It's just it's a bad ending for sure.
I guess I'll take a stab at why these two games. Right. So like why, like there's so many solo games. We got thousands of solo games. Why these two games? Like why Spirit Island and why Mage Knight? And I think like it's almost like two sides of the same coin. So it's like there's the very strategic game that's very thematic. And there's a very thematic game that has a whole lot of themes. So like you have two sides of the same coin. And I think those are the two games where I feel the cleverest. Right. So like when I figure out like I have a city in front of me and I have my hand of cards, I'm like, how am I going to do this? I spend 45 minutes and I figure it out. What's the puzzle to payoff ratio in Mage Knight? That huge puzzle and huge payoff. It doesn't skip on either of those things. And I think just like I get what you're saying about Spirit Island. I still feel like I earned it though. I still feel like I have turns, and maybe they occur in the mid game and not the end game. Maybe that's like kind of what's happening. They occur in the mid game where like I'm looking at the board and I'm kind of overwhelmed. I'm kind of like, okay, what's going on here? And then it's like, okay, wait, look at my things. How can I combo the tsunami with the lightning bolt and all that stuff that's happening? And then all of a sudden, like I have that turn or two where I've really turned it around and I feel like I earned it. And like, though I can't think like, some of the other games in this list, right? I mean, the perennials, like the Robinson Crusoes and Scythe, and like they give you that too, but I just don't feel like any of those games, maybe Gloomhaven does, but I think Gloomhaven is hurt by the fact that it's so big.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's too big. People can't really get into it. It would be, if it was smaller, I think it would be kind of a three-headed thing, but it's not, so go away. But in terms of like cost and that puzzle to payoff ratio that solo players want, these two games deliver it more than any other of the games we've talked about. I think that's kind of getting at it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think
so.
that you hit. I think every single turn is a puzzle, and I think that's why the three LCG games do well for kind of that reason. They're just not, each turn isn't quite as big as these two as far as a good puzzle. Where I mean, like you said, even Spirit Island, there's times where, I'm going to do this here, this here, this here. I got them. And you sit back and you go, can't touch me. And
so talking about the LCGs though, so I'll always love Lord of the Rings the best because it's the game that made me a solo gamer. It has a special place in my heart. But I'm a Sentinels and Multiverse person. I do think that Marvel Champions is a worthy choice for highest ranking superhero card game. I really do. It deserves it. It's so good.
Yes, I don't think it's the best LCG.
No, I don't.
I enjoy both Arkham and Lord of the Rings more than it for solo, but it's good. I'm glad it's high.
And this was like, it wasn't technically a debut because it came out right at the end of last year. People voted it on. Like I had a feeling it was like 90s. It was in the 90s. Like, so people did vote for it. And I had a feeling it was going to like launch. I thought it would push Sentinels down further, but Sentinels kind of stayed flat. And it just like, people was like, you know what, I can play both or whatever. So they just like jammed Marvel in with the LCG. So it's kind of interesting how that played out. And I have a feeling it's not going to change.
Now I do prefer Anton because I prefer a deck builder, but I like card games and I like good combos, so those both make me generally pretty happy, and I like Arkham as well.
I mean,
I've only played Arkham and Marvel about 3 times each, so I don't have a good feel for them. I mean, I love Lord of the Rings. I have everything for Lord of the Rings, so I'm invested in that one. But
Arkham is my number one of all time, so I love that one. Mainly for like the narrative and how different a mission plays out based on whether I'm a sneaky hero or like a big combat hero or whatever. Lord of the Rings is I had mentioned, Kevin, in the previous ones that like you, I bought a game and sold it and then bought it again. So that was both Lord of the Rings and Robinson Crusoe. And Robinson Crusoe didn't work out. I just reviewed it. It's good, but I'm going to get rid of it again. It's fine. Right. I'd rather play Frostpunk that's on Kickstarter right now. And then Lord of the Rings, it took Colin sending me the Lord of the Rings saga packs. He just like sent me all of them. And I love Lord of the Rings. I've read the books numerous times. I've read the Silmarillion twice. Like I'm a big like fan of the theme. Yeah, I'm a nerd. I'm a like Lord of the Rings nerd.
Sure.
And finally playing those missions that were based on the stuff I knew that let me keep the same deck and not have to like deck build as much to kind of match the challenge of each scenario. That's where it finally came alive for me. I still like Arkham a lot better, but I now think Lord of the Rings is very good, but I think the buy-in is stupid high for it to get to that point. Like if you're not bought in, I would recommend Marvel. I would recommend Arkham. Like pick up the core, pick up a few expansions. You're good to go. You'll have fun. I would not do that for Lord of the Rings at all.
Yeah, I got it.
Even the base box of Lord of the Rings, you can't do it without getting more stuff. Like that last quest in there. Oh God.
Yeah. It's painful.
I love it, but
no, I was just gonna say I have a ton for Arkham because I got a ridiculous trade that someone gave me. Richard Launius,
Nice.
basically.
Oh. Launius is dumping all his Arkham stuff. That's the news.
He gave me the base game and maybe 3 full cycles of stuff. So I have that. I just haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, I mean, I like Liz. I love Aeon's End. I find that I look at these games and I'm like, do I want to build a deck today? No, I'm gonna just play Aeon's End, and I'm loving that.
Yeah.
So I'll actually, this is how I usually close this show, is to go kind of best in class for the different ranks. And last year, if you listen to Every Night's Game, I did like top 10 lists in all the different categories. So top 10 worker placement, deck builder, all that stuff. But we'll run through it. It's all the same for this year, but we'll run through it anyway because a new audience, right? New One Stop Co-op Shop and self-storage. So we'll run through it really fast. We mentioned the best deck builder, Aeon's End, by a mile, beating Legendary Alien. Obviously, like a Shadow Rift, Apox Theropod. Like these are games that are kind of like, way down the list. If you're going to play a deck builder, it's almost not even worth making another deck builder. That having a prayer at like the solo gamer's heart because Aeon End is that instantiated, especially after the New Age. So Legacy introduced the idea of an ongoing campaign, but it was Legacy. People were like, but I love the ongoing campaign and building my market and deck and character all at once, right? And evolving that over time. So what they said was, okay, no more of this Legacy stuff. Let's just do that in a campaign style for New Age. So I'm feeling like if you're going to get Aeon's End, start with New Age.
Absolutely.
Yeah, plus you can play a
back
campaign in one night. I mean, it's
right.
What, four missions?
And see, I'm a bit more of a traditionalist. I prefer the pick up and play aspect, but you can have that too. You can just have whatever you want. Like it's a one-stop shop.
I don't see another deck builder dethroning Aeon's End. So much content, and unlike a lot of other games where there's a lot of cards at once, I don't think it falls apart. We haven't really gotten to a point where it's like, don't get that expansion.
There are markets that I do not like against certain nemesis, and you do, I think, need to play. You should get one box and play the stuff in that box before you go buy a bunch of stuff and mix it all together, because otherwise you will be sad. But yeah, I mean, I think we're approaching the point where you have to be careful about what you mix. But for the most part, it works great. It's fun.
I mean, my main problem with Aeon's End is I just don't think there's enough variety in the player cards. So I think you buy a couple box sets and then get more if you want more nemesis or want like extra campaigns with what was the most recent one? Not New Age.
Outcast.
Yeah, like maybe get both of those. But yeah, like I have no need to ever buy another Aeon's End product in my life. You know what I mean? Like whereas some other deck builders I might.
Yeah, I didn't.
Which people say that about Dominion, but they keep on buying Dominion sets. Like if you're in, you're in. Like you just want to explore the space more. And there's more to explore.
But I think Dominion is more creative. I've not seen that creativity in Aeon's End player decks. Like I think it's like
it's
now
in the
you can
mages, though. It's the mages starting.
The mages for sure. But like the player cards, it's like now I can do 2 damage plus 1 if I do this. Now I can do 2 damage plus 1 if I do that. And I'm like, it's a dull system for like innovation in the player cards.
Okay, so more categories: worker placement, viticulture is the perennial favorite over here. Don't see that one kind of being thrown anytime soon.
Wait, what about does Feast for Odin not count?
Does what?
Does Feast for Odin not count?
Oh, I put that one as a Euro, just a pure Euro.
I guess since you're competing for spots, I kind of feel.
Then what's Wingspan? Isn't that?
No, that's not worker placement. That's tableau builder. There's almost no competition.
Wingspan's not a bad game. Why is that number 14 on this? number 13 on this list.
I was getting to that. Yeah.
Unlucky number.
I mean, I can say why, but go ahead, Jason.
Same
Well, I
as
mean,
Tapestry,
okay, so
right?
this is the category of engine building card builder. So like, not an adventure game. Like though that's the LCGs, a for adventure stuff.
Yeah.
This is like we love engine building card games. You would think of like Imperial Settlers / Empire of the North. Look at Race for the Galaxy. You're looking at oh my goods, like strategic card play. And for some, I know why. Like it's popular and it's Stonemaier and it's Elizabeth Hargrave. It's marketing.
It's hot.
It's important. It's an important game.
Yes.
Thank God this game exists. Is it the number one solo game? Y'all people are gonna have to explain that one to me. So because I really don't know.
I mean, well, here's the thing that stands out to me. The average vote. This is like on the little column I'm looking at of our spreadsheet.
Yep.
The games that have the highest average votes in the top 25. Friday, which sounds exactly right, because I don't know about you all, but I got rid of Friday quickly because I solved it. Like I couldn't lose at the highest difficulty level pretty quickly because there's not that much of the game. It's a wonderful design, then you're done with it. It's a puzzle, and then you're done.
But remember, 300 new voters.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And then Role Player is another one that I think is way higher than it should be, like ridiculously higher than it should be. I think it's a solid game. I know Jason likes it more than I do. I think it's a solid game.
Role Player.
Way more.
No freaking way is it 19.
I'm with you, Mike.
I'm
with you, Mike.
Jason,
Viticulture and Wingspan are both Stonemaier. It's amazing marketing. Like I think every Stonemaier game has and I like Stonemaier designs generally speaking, but I think every one of their games is a higher ranking because they are a fantastic marketing machine. And like they do and this props to them. Amazing brand building, like such loyalty. They do right by their customers. Good for them. They deserve it. But yeah, like there's lots of games on here that I think are very highly placed, and no one's voting them, or very few people are voting them like their top 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 games. Yeah. They're just like things a lot of people mention because they're very popular and everyone's played them.
Mm-hmm.
Like Wingspan, how many people voted that number 1? Do you know that, Jason or Kevin?
It's on there.
6.
Okay.
Which is not a lot. That's not a lot. No, six number 1 votes is not a lot. Well, relative to like Mage Knight 74.
Well, the game one above it, Gaia Project, had 16.
Yeah.
Well, like Mike, like you're saying, the average vote for Wingspan's 9.6, Viticulture's 10.6, and Scythe is 8.5, which are all way higher than all the games around them.
Yeah.
Right.
By the way, I will announce it here. I think you're the first public place I've said it. I am done with Scythe. I'm culling my whole collection of like basically every expansion.
Oh well.
Do it.
I love Rise of Fenris. I loved Rise of Fenris. I could play Rise of Fenris.
Rise of Fenris is the only thing that kept it for longer. But yeah, I realize I play the solo the exact same time every time, and I always win. I do the exact same strategy. It's very dull at this point for me.
I love it. It's great.
I want to see.
Go ahead, Liz.
Yeah, no. I just want to say I want to see Too Many Bones hit the top 10.
Okay.
I would like to see that happen.
It did.
Oh, it is top
number
10.
It's number 10.
Sorry, I'm looking at the left and I see 11 on the spreadsheet. It is 10. Good. It should be. I think that's a great game. I've really grew to appreciate that over the course of this year. And I'm happy to see Sprawlopolis on there too. Just a little tiny thing amongst all these heavyweights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it deserves it.
All right. Jason, will you finish your list of each category?
Well, you guys kind of covered the ball, but I'll kind of sum up really fast. You mentioned the ball. So like
the one I don't understand is Terraforming Mars. I got it. It's just boring.
It's awesome.
I like it. It would
awesome.
not be even close to like number 3 for me, but I enjoy it.
It's like
it's a solid 3.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with Mike on that.
It's an engine building card game with an awesome theme. Like, and people love engine building card games. Like, and
it's an awesome theme, I guess.
It's an awesome theme.
Is that theme realized? I guess is my question. I'm not saying the theme is not cool in and of itself. You think so?
Watching the terraform world at the end of your game is fun.
I mean, somebody showed me their solo game at the end. They had like 3 lakes in the middle of the board, and that was the entirety of their terraform.
Well, they played wrong.
No, because they built their tableau up.
And just the engine building card game of it. Sure. I think that Underwater Cities is a better game, but I think that Terraforming Mars has pole position.
Yeah.
So I would prefer Underwater Cities as an engine building card game. That's like a 9 out of 10 game for me. But like Terraforming Mars has pole position. That unfortunately, like you saying before, marketing and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes games just like lead. But people out there play Underwater Cities. That game is amazing. So worker placement. Viticulture takes the cake. I guess you could say FIFA Rota, but I feel like that's more of it's worker placement plus a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
Anachrony not too far behind. Anachrony is a fabulous worker placement game, but it's very much heavier and headier than Viticulture.
Yeah.
I think going to your thing, Mike, I think that Viticulture is the exception. I think Viticulture is just an amazing design. And I can play it right now as just a solo game, no Tuscany, no nothing, and like have a really tight, fun solo game. The bot is the purest, simplest Automobot that they've made. They've all gotten more complicated. I think Viticulture is amazing. Short card game, Liz mentioned in Sprawlopolis, is taking the cake. Kick Friday's butt, Kick Donierum's butt. Sprawlopolis is your go-to card game, which Kevin backed I think you backed the latest expansion.
Yep. What is it? Farmopolis?
Agropolis?
Agropolis, right? Long card games, we love our long adventure card games. We have a bunch of them. So like the Heroes of Terranoth was further down. Pathfinder adventure card game, which there was some poopage.
I like it, but we'll leave it there.
But the LCGs, Marvel, for different reasons, right? If you want a different theme, or if you want a story-based thing, or if you're kind of, that balance everything with the Lord of the Rings. So then that's all there. Engine building card that we mentioned, so Wingspan. I don't know. If you're listening to the podcast, Jason just was shrugged really long. I don't know. Dice Chucker, we mentioned them.
Wait, wouldn't Terraforming Mars be a card game engine?
Yeah. And then Terraforming Mars, depending on your flavor.
Yeah.
So Wingspan would be pure cards, and then Terraforming Mars has the board action. Dice Chucker, role player, Nemo's War. That's just pure dice chucking fun. Dungeon Crawler to Gloomhaven. I mean, you're not going to conquer Gloomhaven, but to Liz's point, is Too Many Bones a better dungeon crawly adventure game than Gloomhaven?
Oh,
not dungeon crawler.
Yeah,
no, not dungeon crawler. But I think in terms of they're interesting. Interesting. I think so. Wait,
Kevin, you think it's a better game too?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
because I do too. But I'm surprised. I didn't think you would say that.
Oh no. No,
I love Too Many Bones. That's probably in my top 5 now.
I have my brand new trove chest all filled out.
But my love for that game has gotten strong. Just the difference between all the different gear locks and different tyrants, but it's. I mean, the game feels complicated because of all the special abilities, but it's really not that tough once you kind of know what you're doing, and you don't have to play a whole campaign if you don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
You can get the satisfaction of leveling up in a much shorter period of time. Obviously, we like games about growth and becoming more powerful over the course of the game. That's clearly our thing, and it delivers.
Yeah, and Gloomhaven's probably one of the slowest on that front.
Yeah.
You might play an entire hour-long mission, maybe even have to replay it because you lost it, and you'll get a single card added to your combat deck.
It'll take you 20 games to retire your character.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, I love Gloomhaven, but if I want a quick hit,
I do too.
Right.
If I want a quick hit of dopamine or whatever it is, woo, I got stronger, I'm cool. Gloomhaven is not the game for that, generally speaking.
Well, plus if you're just gonna pull out a game to play for a night, Gloomhaven is tough to just suddenly say, let's just play a game. Where Too Many Bones, you can pull it out and be off and running pretty quick.
Too Many Bones, one of the games I did get an initial copy, and I just didn't get into the initial thing. I felt like there was too reliant on the base dice, and I didn't like the integration of the special dice. But as people have gotten more stuff and as there's been more feedback, it's just gotten better and better. If it comes along again, then I'm more than happy to play. Euro game, we're looking at games we mentioned Scythe and Terraforming Mars, but also Gaia Project is a huge game.
I love Gaia Project.
Still play it. The Terra Mystica version, but more theme. It's not really a thematic game, but the overlay of space was really well done. The player factions are well done, and the Automa is probably the best. The most what do I want to say, Mike, in terms of the Automa? It's the cleverest, and it's just a really well developed they figured out how to make this beast into an 18 deck Automa. It's just an admiration to kind of
and it's funny that I think that is I love Automa Project. I love Morton and his work. I think that is the finest Automa they've designed, and it's one of the only ones they've done for a non Stonemaier game, which is funny.
And also At the Gates Lo Yang is a perennial favorite. We talk about it every year. So always gets I think it got a reprint a couple of years ago, but it's just one of those games that was built for solo, where Uwe's games tend to be built for multiplayer solitaire and then have beat your own score solo mode. At the Gates Lo Yang is a optimized solo experience.
Let's just appreciate that Feast for Odin, Newsfjord, and At the Gates of Lo Yang are all in that top 25. That is actually pretty amazing.
The most Uwe Rosenberg being it used to be Matt Leacock with all the pandemics, but in terms of most represented designer, but with Pandemic the Cure falling out, the title is now Uwe Rosenberg for the most solo games. Because it's funny because I say about solo players love theme, the way not doing no theme, but but definitely he is very well represented in the solo sphere. And then deck builder would be Aeon Zen and Legendary Alien.
Yeah. Hey, the best pandemic style game is still apparently just vanilla Pandemic.
Which is not true, but it's certainly the one that's going to get voted on the most, so that's fine.
Seriously, do people far into their solo gaming, I guess, lives, do they still pull out vanilla Pandemic just to play it?
I do. I still like. I don't have any of the others. I had the Cure, and that sucks, and got rid of it. But regular Pandemic, I like. Actually, I play it on the app, so
okay.
I didn't vote for it. But yeah, that's probably the app I play the most.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, for me, any group that's light enough to like play base Pandemic, I'll play Forbidden Island instead. Generally,
no, I'll play that with adults. I'll play Forbidden Island with kids.
Yeah, that's fair.
I've played Pandemic Fall of Rome way more than I've played any other Pandemic game. That's, I mean, the theme clearly got me. I'm not a huge Pandemic person, but
I'm not a big enough fan to
play
buy more Pandemic.
Oh, sorry.
We're starting to freeze up on the Wi-Fi over here. I think there might be a good enough indication that we are done with the entire list. 200
I want to say one last thing. I'm going to apologize.
Here we go.
Mage Night one more time.
God.
Listen to me, people. It's got more than 10% of the people said it was their number one. It has the lowest average vote, so the best average vote of any game. And every year I see so many people who will write up, said, "Oh, I finally tried it, gave it a chance. This is so good. This is going to be my new number one." It's just a game. It's hard to get into, but there's so many videos that'll teach you, and if you play it and give it a chance, it will be back on top where it belongs.
And I will say, Spirit Island, number one forever. Keep voting for it.
I'm with Kevin. We are in agreement, sir.
We got 2 Spirit Island and 2 Mage Knight. Those will be the top 2 solo games, unless something amazing comes
and I hope
down.
something does.
Unless
it
would have to be really amazing.
Wouldn't it be great if 10 amazing games came out of the entire top 10 looked different in like 2 or 3 years? Like, wouldn't that be great for the solo community?
Yeah, awesome.
I'm all for it. I'm all for. I love Mage Night, but I'm not going to vote something higher just because it's new. It's got to be better.
Well, yes, absolutely.
That was 200 games. Thank you so much. That was Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, Michael Kelly from the One Stop Coop Shop, and Kevin Erskine. We see him every single year hanging out in the One Player Guild. Thank you so much. Wish this man a happy birthday on the forum.
Happy birthday, Kevin.
Happy birthday.
And thank him from the bottom of your hearts for giving us top whatever he's been giving us every single year for the last 7 years. And hopefully for 7, 14, 21, as many years as you want to do this, as many years as you do this, you'll be welcome on my show, Shelf Stories, our show, the One Stop Co-op Shop. You'll be welcome. We're going to do this every single year.
Well, thank you. I love doing it.